This is not good. I mean, it's good. It's really good, but it's not good. Hey there, I'm Dan, the self-proclaimed Lonely Rocker. Welcome to this episode of I Don't Have a Band. If you love making music, whether you got a home studio like me or perhaps you prefer yodeling in the shower, it's all good. I likely have some content for you, so thanks for joining me. Today we are taking a look at Amplitube from IK Multimedia. Now, those of you who know me know that I'm a tube amp guy and I rarely crack open amp software. But I am looking for ways to create different tones and sounds here in the studio, and it is the way of the world these days. So I decided to check out Amplitube 5 Max from IK Multimedia. In fact, I'm looking at the 5.1 update. Now, all those tones you heard in that track in the opening were all Amplitube, including the bass guitar. Now, one of the main features of the 5.1 update is this series of physical pedals called X Gear that are also available in plugin form, and they're featured prominently in the tones that I showcased in that track. So we're definitely going to look at those and some of the updates included in 5.1. All right, let's check it out. So first things first, an old tube amp guy. I'm stubborn. There's no question about it. Love my amps. You know what? I'll always love my amps. But the truth is there's a lot to be said about a package like this. And really I can boil down to sort of two ideas. Number one, convenience. And number two, options. In terms of convenience, you don't need a lot of equipment to get really raging tones. You need a computer, obviously, a simple interface and a guitar. You plug in, you've got access to a world of amplifiers and all the different tone shaping tools, all inside one application. If you're working in a home studio or working at home and volume is an issue, well, you can work on headphones. You get the full tone spectrum that Amplitube has to offer. So very convenient. And, listen, it's going to give you access to equipment you may never own, at least at that scale, right? So you get to sample all kinds of different flavors. So Amplitube 5 Max is what I've got here. And it's just like my first real foray into it. And a little confession is that I actually had it here a while ago and I kind of glossed over it. So I'm really glad that I jumped into it just literally a couple of days ago. In fact, that song that you heard in the opening, I was just playing around with Amplitube and that just came out literally in an hour. That was a cool little jam that came out. So, hey, if you're getting inspired, there's something going right with that piece of gear, or in this case, software. Anyway, so I want to highlight some of the updates. Amplitube has been covered on many a channel, but this new update has got a lot of great features. Honestly, it's staggering how many new things that they've packed into a 0.1 update. I think they could have called it Amplitube 6 and nobody would have complained. So kudos to IK Multimedia for offering so much value in the existing package. So I'm going to summarize all of the new features that are in the 5.1. I can't really cover everything or really do a deep dive in all of it, but let's just summarize some of the new features available in the 5.1 update. Right at the top of the list of new features is the availability of the Amplitube X Gear pedals. available as physical pedals and now as add-ons to your Amplitube suite. In fact, you can share settings from the app to the physical pedals so you can carry your settings with you wherever you go. The magic number with these pedals is 16, as each houses 16 different types of each effect. X Vibe delivering modulation effects, X Bass giving you reverbs, X Drive is a super overdrive and distortion pedal, and X Time delivering a whole host of delay effects. The cabinet section is something to behold. It has been completely re-engineered with a new DSP engine. The new volumetric IRs deliver 600 snapshots per speaker. That is a ton of detailed information that allows you to make extremely precise adjustments to mic placement, plus the relationship between the cabinet, speakers, and room for a very lifelike response. And over 100 existing cabinets from the previous versions of Amplitube have been recaptured to take advantage of this new technology. The new configurable signal chain takes you beyond mono and stereo, introducing wet-dry configurations and parallel routing. Amplitube now supports up to 57 simultaneous models, and configuring all of that with the new signal chain is super easy and intuitive. And to complement the advanced signal chain editor is a new mixer. Easily pre-mix cabs, mics, and DI signals to create a finished tone that's ready for your mix with minimum to no outside processing needed. On top of these great features, you can now import your favorite IRs, tilt and resize them for further customization. There is a ton of new gear added to an already impressive list, and all of the original gear has been remastered to improve on their realism. And to put a bow on everything, there's a new fully scalable GUI that can adapt to any display size. All right, let's get into the X Gear stuff. Now, the X Gear, as I said, they're actual physical pedals, but they also exist here as a plugin within Amplitube. You can add them to your existing account. There are additions that you can add. You can add all four of them. You can add just one of them. In this case, I've got all four here to show you, and I've made sure that I used all of them in that musical example just so you can get a feel for what it does. So let's take a look at the clean part of that song. There's the clean track here, and I'm actually using 3 of the 4 pedals to achieve that sound. Let's just play a little bit of it here just to refresh your memory. It almost sounds like a keyboard in there. I'm using a shimmering reverb. We'll get to that in a second. But basically, as I said, there's 3 different plugins here, or pedal plugins, to achieve that sound. Now, I'm using more of a clean tone here. It looks like a Diezel amplifier here. So we're on a pretty clean setting. Not too much, a little bit of gain, but not too much. But let's talk about the effects. So I'm going to bypass everything just so we can hear what it sounds like without all of this processing. Say that 10 times fast. I'll solo the track. So let's take a listen to it. So not very inspiring, very simple line. Actually, you can hear a little bit of the gain in there. So there's a little bit of a bite on that tone, but I wanted to make it very lush, creating those repeats and just that really lush sound that created that really sort of ominous vibe to the track. All right, so first up, let's take a look at X Vibe. Now, X Vibe is a modulation pedal on steroids. Now, considering all of the different stomp boxes you've got here, pedals like this actually encompass a lot of different pedal effects within one pedal. So it's like almost like a multi-effects processor in a sense. But you've got chorus effects, you've got phaser, you've got flanger, you've got modulation, all sorts of different things in here. And there's just a ton of great presets built in. I talk about presets a lot. It's always great to get a feel for the pedal, but lots of different sounds to dial in here. So I've gone with this 1986 chorus effect. So let's just hear it again. I'll bypass the effect. Let's take a listen to it. And then I'll add the X Vibe. It's a very nice, very lush chorus effect. Really, really like that. So now next is I wanted to introduce some repeats just to create something rhythmical to a very simple line. So we've got X Time. So let's take a look at that. So this is your multi-delay pedal. You've got all sorts of different delay types. You've got vintage analog styles. You've got, analog, digital, just all sorts of different reverse effects and things like that. So I've gone with a ping pong effect. So again, let's listen to it without, and then I'll add it in so you can hear what it's doing. So really nice, and because we are in the digital world or the virtual world here, that I can actually time this to the beats per minute of the project. So now you can freely change the time if you want, like competing time and things like that. You can do that, but I've sunk this up to the project, so those repeats are going to be perfect. So the last thing that I added is the X Space, and that is a monster reverb. There are so many different reverb options here. So I went with the shimmer. I wanted to create this very ethereal sound. Almost sounds like a keyboard. So again, I'm going to play the track here, and then I'm going to introduce X Space into the brew. Well, that really just scratches the surface on all three. I mean, I could actually do an entire video on each one of these, whether I had the physical pedal or the plugin. The sounds are just great. The quality and just amazing. And there's just a lot of options in there. I mean, you can make do with one of these and you can spend years finding new sounds. The three of them working together, just creating that really lush, very wet sounding guitar when it's called for. But you can back off, and with all the blending and mixing options you have within the plugin itself, you can dial into taste. And if you're more of just a little bit of color and not too much flavor, well, that's certainly easily achievable. But three really versatile pedals here that's going to really add a spectrum to your sound. Hey, if you're enjoying this video, it would really help the channel out a lot if you consider simply just clicking that like button. If you have something to say, well, that's what the comment section is for. And if you know someone that would like this video, perhaps you would consider sharing it. Now, ultimately, if you like what I'm doing on this channel, clicking that subscribe button and ringing the notification bell, that'll keep you up to date on everything that I'm doing. And if you want to do a deeper dive with the Lonely Rocker, I am on Patreon. I'll link that down below. All right, let's get back to the video. All right, let's talk about the guitar solo, because I'm going to introduce X Drive. This is a overdrive distortion pedal with just basically a million pedals all in one stomp box. It's great. And I've also reintroduced X Time and X Space to craft the sound for the solo. So let's just play a little bit of it here just so you can get a little sample of what it sounds like. So I wanted this real big sounding solo, but I wanted it to feel emotional, have lots of color. There's a lot of movement in there. And well, let me show you how I achieve that. So in this case, I've got the X Drive running before the amp simulation. So like I said, in the physical world, often we'll take an overdrive to drive that amplifier. And with our new signal chain here in Amplitube 5.1, very easily place any of these pedals anywhere in the signal chain that we want. So what I wanted to do, and let me bypass all of these effect pedals, so we'll build this up as we go. So I want to let you hear the amplifier, the sound. I'm going to solo it here. So it's actually quite clean, and this is something typically that I would do with a real amplifier and pedals, is I'll use the clean channel and then I'll drive it either with a boost or an overdrive just to get that real nice natural breakup. So I'm doing that virtually here with Amplitube. So let's turn on the X Drive. So like I said, this is a multi-distortion overdrive box. You've got all sorts of different options here. So I've gone with green, which is, I guess, a tube screamer. I've gone with green one, and I've got a bit of drive going here and quite a bit of volume because I wanted to see what it was like to push that amplifier. So now hear the difference just with X Drive in front of this what looks like a Diezel amplifier. Let's check it out. So nice, smooth distortion, overdrive there. Really, really like that a lot. So now I want to add a little bit of color to the signal here. So let's bring in X Time, which is our delay. So I'll start off without it, and then I'll introduce it so you can hear what it's adding to the tone. So those repeats are there. You can hear it tail as I stop there. So they're not too loud, but they're sort of filling in the gaps there. Again, just creating that depth that I really like in a solo. So the last thing is we want to add some reverb, and we're going to achieve that with X bass. I'll play without and I'll introduce X bass. Beautiful. Really, really like that. Let me play this again in context now so you can hear how these three pedal plugins are contributing to the overall sound of this guitar solo. Well, there's my spin on Amplitube 5.1. I'm really thoroughly impressed with this package. You know, someone like myself who's used to using tube amps, I certainly will find a lot of use with this. Definitely will be using it going forward without a doubt. There's just so much here. How could I not? I'm not ready to throw my tube amps in the garbage just yet, but certainly this has definitely found a way into my workflow here in my studio. So whether you're recording in your own studio, whether you're just plugging into your computer and jamming to your favorite tunes or jamming with your buddies, you've got a lot of options here. It's a very intuitive package, very comprehensive. There's just so much in here, and it's expandable. You can start with the basic setup and you can add as you go. Very flexible upgrade paths to add more features to your Amplitude 5 suite, so you're never left behind. I'm going to put a link in the description if you want any more information about this product, and if you have anything to add to the discussion, well, that's what the comment section's for. Well, that's what I've got. I certainly hope you've enjoyed this video. It really helps the channel if you consider utilizing one of the engagement options. I really appreciate that. But ultimately, I'd love to see you in another video. So I'll give you a couple of options right now. If you enjoyed this video, please consider hitting the like button and/or leaving a comment. And if you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell. Remember, you don't need a band to rock and roll. There are a lot of great musical projects you can do by yourself right from your own home. I hope to see you again in another video.